You're listening to Sox in the Basement, a production of the Broadcast Basement Limited, where every show is 30 minutes of good and comes from a basement bar on the south side of Chicago. Pull up a stool, pour a cold one, and join us right now for Sox in the Basement. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at soxinthebasement.com. You're listening to Sox in the Basement. My name is Chris Lanuti, and I am sequestered at my 9-foot homemade oak bar in my basement on the south side of Chicago. And my buddy Dave is remotely calling in, mainly because I have a 4-year-old that has 103 temperature and has been tested and been told influenza B, but we're going to err on the side of caution and just separate ourselves from each other until we're sure here. How are you, my friend?
As good as can be, I guess. I'm sitting here in my house. I went out to vote today. There was barely anybody there. Thankfully, I've been able to run and grab, we've been able to get groceries and stuff like that, so no big deal there. My business right now is on absolute pins and needles, so I'm doing as much damage control there as I possibly can.
But you have the music school, right? You have the music school, and people, even though there isn't something that says that that you have to close down, people have now become very nervous. So you have to go to online classes over at Westgate?
We are not requiring the online classes, but we are offering it as an option because, a lot of people are scared, a lot of people are panicked right now. When people are panicked, obviously they cut everything out, of their lives, us being one of those things. So we're doing our best to try to, ease people's fears about coming to our facility. Everything is being cleaned and sanitized regularly. The entire place smells like a swimming pool right now. We've been doing so much cleaning and sterilizing, but we do understand that, people are scared and people are nervous, and a lot of times people have people in their lives who are immune compromised. So we're obviously doing our best to try to accommodate those people as much as possible, with the Skype, with the FaceTime, with the online lessons.
It's absolutely crazy what's happening. I kind of want to just make sure that we kind of address it now, and then I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about here on the show. First off, we did our last podcast. The world was completely different. We sat down on Tuesday last week, and we talked about the possibility it might delay the start of the season or play without fans in front of them. Well before there was all the crazy science out there about like the giant bell curve and you want to lower the curve and all the other, none of that stuff was around. So if you go back and listen to the last show, we probably have a different opinion than we have now. There's been a lot more stuff that's been put out there. On the other hand, I do sit there and I say to myself, very responsible of Major League Baseball, the major sports organizations, the Archdiocese of Chicago, all these people who have shut down and said, okay, we have to do something different and socially distance. But like you said, you went to the polls today. That may be one of the most mind-boggling, crazy things that I've ever heard of in my life, because we've all watched every time that they have elections. And everybody that works elections are like old people. And I hear most of them don't want to show up today to be election judges, and completely understandably so. And
right.
Most of my polling places I go to are filthy and have terrible ventilation. And you stand in line, you're cramped up with a bunch of other people, which is far worse than sitting in an open air stadium based upon how this thing gets transmitted. So I can't believe that they didn't close the polls. I was shocked by that. That bothered me a lot when I saw it. But here's the good news. The good news is that even though baseball season is stopped right now, even though we're all kind of hunkering down in our homes, even though small businesses like yourself and a lot of the people that sponsor Sox in the Basement and other shows on the Broadcast Basement On Demand Radio Network have to make these massive adjustments, and I worry for them more than I worry for me, easily. I worry for you. I worry for the restaurants. I worry for you guys, because you have to make an adjustment now, not only to the science, but you also have to make an adjustment to the fear that comes along with the science.
Yes, and when you hear things like the Fed has slashed interest rates to zero, which is the first time this has happened in forever. Everything that I'm reading, look, the health crisis is going to pass. The bell curve, all of that stuff, like reducing the number of cases, making sure the testing kits are available, making sure there's enough hospital beds, all of that's going to work out. Like, that's going to be fine. And to be quite honest, with what I've read and from what I've listened to with people overseas, particularly in Europe, the United States is way more prepared and is approaching this thing way more proactively than a lot of these other European or Nordic nations are. So the illness portion of this is going to pass. The economic devastation, the effect that this is going to have on the economy is going to last for years and years.
You're right. There's been this thing where people keep trying to compare like Italy to the United States of America, or acting like that they have these spectacular hospitals. I've been in 3 Italian hospitals in my life, 3 of them. I went on almost a month-long journey with 2 small kids. Okay, we had at one point my daughter hurt herself, and we went to several different Italian hospitals. Most of them look like in-and-out care facilities. They don't even look like hospitals. And when I went to Empoli, Italy, which was supposed to cover like a massive amount, all these towns and provinces and everything up there, there were all communal beds. There were barely any private rooms. There were people laying in the middle of the emergency room on a Tuesday night with gaping head wounds. There was urine sloshing around inside of the elevators. It was not a clean, well-run hospital, and I was told that was one of the best ones in the area. And we got transferred from 2 other hospitals to that one because they couldn't do anything. It was a disaster. I don't compare what's going. It's terrible what's going on over there. I have a little bit more faith in what's going to happen here. You know, it's so much going on these days. Hey, what are you up to, big guy? Folks, this is my 12-year-old son, Dominic. How are you, buddy?
Hey, Dad. I'm thinking with all this time on my hands with the coronavirus and homeschooling, I kind of want to start a podcast.
That's great. That's a good idea. That'll keep you busy while you're stuck here in the house driving everybody else nuts. What's your podcast going to be about?
The White Sox.
But I already have a Sox podcast.
No worries, Dad. Mine is going to be completely different. I'm going to call mine Sox in My Bunk Bed.
That sounds pretty similar to my show title.
And I'm going to use that bar tapper you have on your Broadcast Basement logo for the network because it looks cool.
Wait. Now that's just ripping me off. I've had the Broadcast Basement since 2008. That was when you were born. I paid for that logo's rights. You can't just take my bar tapper and stick it in your logo.
I'll add some shading, Dad, don't worry. Oh, and you know how the 108 guys have that hashtag 108ing that they use?
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. They use it to talk about drinking beers, kicking back, watching the Sox.
I'm gonna start my own hashtag and put it on shirts and koozies and everything. It's gonna be hashtag Drinkum.
Wait a minute.
And then I'm going to have my own section at the ballpark where people can hashtag Drinkum.
Now wait a minute, that's a ripoff. You can't do that. You can't have your own section. You can't take the 108's hashtag and turn it into something that's almost just like it. What are you gonna grab, section 107?
You're right, I'll use the parking lot for tailgating instead.
Oh, good grief.
What?
It just sounds like you're ripping me and the 108 and everyone else off. You need to sit down and think of your own ideas. Like how I set up that live Saturday podcast thing that I announced last month when we were going to kick it off on the 28th at Cork and Carry at the park before all this started. And now we're moving it up and we're kicking it off this Saturday at 7 p.m. We've been planning that forever.
Too late.
What do you mean too late?
I heard that on your show, and I did my first live Saturday night podcast this past weekend.
Get out! Get out! I'm done. Leave! I'm done with you. Goodbye. Just go. Kids. Let's talk a little bit about the White Sox. Let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing with Sox in the Basement. While this is going on, Sox in the Basement is going to ask a few things of you. First of all, please support those that support us. Not only Cork and Carry at the park, Cork and Carry over on Western, it's the same place. I spoke with the folks over at Cork and Carry just today. You can still order the menu right through Grubhub. They actually get great reviews for when people deliver through Grubhub already, so they're already set up for that. If you want to get some wings, Cork and Carry at the park. You want to get a burger? Go look at that menu. It's insane. Keep places like this open because you're going to want them around when everything goes back to normal. And then another way you can help is, and this is something we've been talking about in my house, if you're not going to do carry out all the time, but you would normally go out every once in a while during the month, take that money, buy gift cards. You can do that. You can buy gift certificates, gift cards from Cork and Carry at the Park. Spend the money now, help them out. Later on, when things go back to normal, you've already paid for it. When baseball returns, we will have the live event that was planned. They will remain our sponsor. I've already called them up and said, I know what you're going through. Don't worry about it. We care about them. We're there for them. We want them to be okay throughout this thing. That's a difficult thing to go through for any business owner. Also, there's other businesses right now that are on the on-demand network on different shows like the Evergreen Park podcast. I know that Unidad Restaurant on the south side of Chicago in Evergreen Park is doing curbside and delivery. And if you go, get a gift certificate of $100 from their Latin Kitchen and Bar. They add an extra $20 gift certificate in there for you. Spectacular food. They've been advertising on the network on that Evergreen Park show because they're in Evergreen Park for over a year. They're one of the hottest restaurants on the south side of Chicago. They have this spectacular chef that's in there. They make great food, and the guy who runs the thing is a neat freak. So you know you're getting it from a clean place. UnidadRestaurant.com. Check them out and support them. And we're going to try to support all the local businesses on the on-demand radio network on all of our different shows to try to help out the small businesses. That said, let's talk what we're going to do with the podcast. The podcast will still continue to come out every Wednesday. But while we're socially distancing, Dave and I may from time to time have to record it. When we record it, we're actually going to record it live on the Podbean app. We're doing that right now to try it out. We'll see how the sound quality goes, and we're going to go from there. We're also going to start a Saturday live show. That was something that I had said we were going to start doing with the Cork and Carry at the Park event on the 28th. Why not start it now? I've got time on my hands. If Dave can't join in, totally cool. If he can, he's a button push away. When eventually everybody's well on my side and his side and we can get back together again, we'll have him down here at the 9-foot Homemade Oak Bar as well. And while we're doing these live recordings and live shows, you will be able to call into us through the Podbean app. So if you go to soxinthebasement.com, on any device that does apps, it'll actually prompt you, do you want the Podbean app? Just take it for free. You get a little account. It's a free sign up, okay? It gives you your screen name. And then you're going to get notifications every time that we're live. You're going to be able to sign up in advance to remind yourself for the live shows. And then you're going to be able to use the app to listen and also participate in a live chat room and also call in and be a part of the show. So that is what our gift is to you. More Sox in the Basement, not less of it. And I've been trying to figure out what we're going to program with, Dave, and I have a brilliant idea. Are you ready for this?
Okay, yes, I'm ready. Go for it.
I am going to get MLB The Show, the 2020 new video game on my PlayStation 4, and I am going to simulate the Major League Baseball season day by day so that we can report on the simulated Sox in the Basement Major League Baseball season. So we're going to see in simulation what we would be watching according to MLB The Show as the season went on. So we're going to play the games. I'm going to try to see if I can set up a thing where we can actually air some of the games in video podcast form so you can watch some White Sox baseball in simulation. Ricky Renteria won't be able to set the lineup. I'm going to have to do it myself, but we'll take lineup suggestions from people as well. We might as well have some fun with this. So we're going to run our own White Sox team through the Major League schedule on MLB The Show with pure simulation. Like I'm not going to play. I'm going to simulate. I'm going to manage the game. I'm going to allow people to jump in and give us suggestions as to what we should do with the lineup so we can discuss it. This will be the official Sox in the Basement Major League Baseball season until the actual Major League Baseball season returns. What do you think about that?
It's funny because hopefully MLB The Show doesn't go off of the Pacoda projections, because then we're only going to be winning like 80 games or whatever it is.
You know what? You never know with video games. You never know. We're going to give it a shot, though. We're going to see what happens. Look, if they start doing bad, it'll give us something to yell about. We can fake yell about the team. We'll be like, Rick Hahn screwed us all up. I can't believe it. Why are we always bunting? Like, we actually will have something to yell about.
Hey, that's a really good idea. I'm going to use that on my podcast.
Out! Get out!
The following story is completely true. The names have not been changed because
Hi, I'm Chris Lanuti.
I really got to read it? It's 3 words long. You're like getting ready, like adjusting yourself.
Join me and my friends as we belly on up to my homemade 9-foot oak bar in my basement on the south side of Chicago.
I'd say expose them to as much violence and nudity as you can at an early age to prep them for life.
Was it hard to climb up the ladder in your skirt?
No, it's just embarrassing.
Oh, okay.
Talking beer, fatherhood, fun with season 11 out now.
Your show is so different and fascinating.
Wait, this is a podcast? I just come over here to drink.
There is a brand new season on demand and hundreds of other episodes available to you for the low, low price of $4. It's exclusively available through the Podbean app and podbean.com. Go direct to broadcastbasement.podbean.com. Subscribe and get a brand new season of the Broadcast Basement and everything else we've ever done. I mean, let's be honest. You want to hear this song.
I hope you know I'll pack a chainsaw. I'll skin your ass raw. And if my day keeps going this way, I just might break something tonight. I'll pack a chainsaw. I'll skin your ass raw. And if my day keeps going this way, I just might break your fucking face tonight.
Broadcastbasement.podbean.com. $4. Best money you'll spend all day.
I'll skin your ass raw.
A couple people that we're hoping to talk to. I got into a very nice Twitter conversation with Ashley Rodon. She's talking to Carlos. They're locked up. I'm hoping to get her on the show very soon. The Brooks Boyer thing also continues as well. I intend now, because Brooks is not even going to be in the building because they've shut everything down. I know he's got to be checking his email still. You know, they're working remotely, all the White Sox people. So
Right.
we have a live show this Saturday night at 7 p.m. I am going to send Brooks Boyer a live invite, a link right to his email. And all he has to do is click on the link and he will be connected with us live on the air to not only talk with Sox in the Basement, but also talk with you, the fan. I asked Brooks to please consider coming on Sox in the Basement. The 108 guys have been talking a lot of junk lately on Twitter. Okay? They keep sending me pictures of them with Brooks and making fun of me because I haven't got it. It's getting a little nasty now. All right?
Nice.
So, I know they're in good fun, so I don't care about it. But they're giving me a hard time because they're like, Brooks is ours. We're the only ones who can have Brooks. I would ask Brooks Boyer to just consider coming on and having a live little chat with White Sox fans during this time. Let's just talk about what's going on. Let's talk about what the Sox are going to be doing when we get back. Let's do MLB The Show. We're going to see what the results are going to be. We're going to have conversations about what it's like to be a White Sox fan. But most of all, I want to open up the show and make it free form for the listeners. I want to give the listeners an opportunity to get on the show and talk with us. So please make sure that you go out, get the Podbean app, jump on there. You'll be able to listen to me and Dave put the show together on Tuesdays like we're doing right now. We're currently live on the Podbean app now, but we didn't advertise it. So we got a few scragglers that have jumped in and out of the room who are just trying to figure out what it is. And then we are going to have the actual live show that we'll put out there. It'll be free to get in. Podbean is allowing me to let at least 1,000 people in for free. After that, they charge, I think, like $1 or something like that because they have to run all the bandwidth. But they're giving me 1,000 people for free, which should be plenty, into the thing. You can listen to it live on any device that has apps, your Androids, your iPhones, or anything else like that. Get in there. We're going to be with you throughout this entire thing. And you know, I get to buy a video game and claim it as an expense because it's going to be for the show. What do you think about that? That's business.
It's actually pretty clever. I did not think about writing that up as a business expense.
You should get it for yourself too. It's a business expense. You're going to need to look at it. Maybe you could run a concurrent season. We'll see which one has the better White Sox season in it. You know?
Interesting.
Go get yourself some MLB The Show. Write that thing off, buddy. All right?
I don't have a PS4 though.
What do you got? Xbox?
I have an old school Xbox 360. Yeah.
It's time for you to upgrade, man. We're in the middle of a pandemic. All right?
I don't play video games that much.
Yeah, but now
so.
you got time to play video games, don't you?
No,
You're gonna have time,
it's
aren't you?
worse. It's worse now than it was ever because I have to constantly be doing damage control with all of our students and families who are just absolutely freaked out and panicked over this thing.
I think the thing that you're doing though live over the, doing like the live thing over the computer is a good idea. Once you get into a flow, it'll get easier. Like when this happened, I sat down last week. It was crazy because I was like, oh my gosh, do I Do I pull the shows that we most recently had? Do I do updates to them? And I was like, no, I want to sit back. I want to give a few days. I want to figure out like what's actually happening here and what the new reality is. And then I wanted to make sure that we had things done right. So I ordered new cables. I worked out how to do things live. I kind of like, I've been trying to help out the businesses that advertise with us. Like, what can I do to help you get, to help you still get money coming in so that you don't have to close your doors forever. I've been trying to do that. And then I'm actually setting something up. All the local church parishes in my area want to run a live mass. So I'm going to be doing it in live podcast form on a different feed. So I'm trying to help while we're doing the show. So it has been busy. It's been crazy. And I got 3 kids in the house, man. One that's sick. They say it's the flu, but you want to be careful. Okay. And then the other 2 who have to go to school now from their table. And my wife's working from home. We're just on top of each other. I want to podcast every night. Like I'm going to be doing like a full schedule. Like Monday nights, I'm going to be helping out my buddy who does a Pittsburgh Pirates podcast, Bucks in the Basement. Okay. And yes, he did get the name from me and I have been helping him out. It's, you know what? He gave this really heartfelt thing. He had like one of the broadcasters for the Pirates. I don't know who any of these guys are. One of the broadcasters for the Pirates, Mike the Fort McHenry. He's one of their color commentators this year. He jumped on the phone with him and he's got like 20 minutes with him. And the 2 of them, it's like right when they canceled Major League Baseball and he got like that raw emotion and what was going on with the players. That was amazing. But McHenry called him and we put that on the show that's up there right now. And he's going live now every Monday. And then Tuesdays, we're going to be going live here. And Wednesdays, we're going to be going live. I'm going to be doing the live Evergreen Park show and a live show with my priest friend, Father Paul Guzman from Me and the Priest. And Thursdays, I'm going to be going live on the Broadcast Basement. And Fridays, I'm going to be going live again on the EP podcast. And Saturdays, I'm going live again on Sox in the Basement. I mean, like I just need to talk with people, Like I hate being cooped up. This sucks. And so I just want to I want to have conversations. I want to talk with people. We could talk baseball without baseball happening. We could talk about Stratomatic baseball and, your first time that you were ever at a game. And we can have some of the players on and old players and talk about what's going on. I'm going to have Don Paul's scheduled to come on the show in the next couple of weeks. I'm lining up guests that I'm trying to get in here. I'm going to try to get a lot of the alums in. I'm going to try to get a lot of the just people that we wouldn't normally get a chance to talk to in depth. We're going to try to get them on. We're going to talk with some of the other folks that are going around. I don't want to make a coronavirus show. That's the main thing. I felt like this show, we kind of had to get ourselves reset. And then Saturday we go live and we have some fun. And that's kind of like where I was this week. I just wanted we got to get ourselves kind of set up and ready to go and tell people what our plan is. And our plan is going to be live shows, supporting local businesses, supporting you guys, talking to people on the phones, getting a few people on to talk about things and coming up with great ideas for those that can't come up with their own.
Right. There you go.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's what the plan is. And you, what is your plan? Are you just going to be sheltering in place or are you staying back because you need to get everything all set up and you're afraid of my feverish child?
You mean today or just?
No. I mean, overall, are you going to come back down to the basement or are we going to be doing it like this all the time?
No, I mean, I'll be coming back down to the basement, but all it's just, this week.
It was funny because I texted your wife and I was like, hey, we're going to be doing this with the podcast. I'm only letting the host come over. I'm not going to bring in guests. They'll have to do it by the phone. And she was like, yeah, I'm coming over for the shit because she does one show with me. And you were like, yeah, no, I'm remotely doing mine. I was like, wow, Dave's locking down.
It's more just the mental and emotional strain, to be honest with you, that this has kind of taken on me as far as, just keeping my business open and, all of the all of my staff are worried, all of my parents are worried, I'm trying to do the right thing here. So it's been as much of, a mental health thing as anything else, to be honest with you. So
I think the hardest thing is trying to figure out how you're supposed to feel. And the worst thing is Twitter, Facebook, if you post your feelings, somebody's going to come along and tell you you're feeling wrong, I wanted the Major League Baseball season. Yes, that's a selfish thing for me to say, but I wanted it because I don't know what I'm going to do without it. I get why we're not doing it. I'm not against what they ended up doing. If everybody did it together, there obviously is a reason for it. So I accept it, but I wanted it. And now, I feel bad. I got an 8th grade daughter. She doesn't know how her last year in her grammar school is going to end. Like, will they even go back to class? Are they just going to tell her that she graduated? Everybody has these feelings, and we know what we want. And, it's okay, I think, for you to vent, be like, this sucks. It's okay for you people to sit there and say, I want things to go back to normal. Those people don't need a response back from somebody saying, you're a horrible person. Just sit there and be quiet.
Right.
You got to be able to vent. Every study about humanity tells you that if you don't talk about things and you don't get angry and you don't vent and you don't spout off, it just builds up inside of you. And then the next thing that happens is you murder a bunch of people and you drown yourself in a bathtub. Something terrible happens as a result of that. Relationships don't last if you don't communicate with your wife. I get aggravated, my wife and I will yell at each other. Then it's over. I can't imagine how relationships happen where they don't say anything to each other because they don't want to offend each other. Eventually, those must be the ones that end in divorce. I don't know how it works, but I yell.
You have to vent. You have to communicate. And you have to have an outlet. So,
and that's what I want to do with this. I want to give an outlet. I want Sox fans to be able to call up and say whatever they want to. And that's why we're going to go live. And I don't know what the sound quality will be like. We've been working on this. I've got some new cords on the way to try to help things out. Right now, though, I have a pretty good system set up with it. And we're going to put together as good of a live show as we possibly can. And I think eventually what will happen is both shows will be live. We'll just give you a time that we're going to be recording on Tuesday and a time that we're going to be recording on Saturdays, and we're going to do it twice a week and give people a chance. And we're going to get a little bit imaging so that we could tell you other things that the network is doing. So if you really need that contact every night, you know what? Sox in the Basement's on these 2 days. This other show is on this day. This other show is on this day. Join us, and we'll talk about whatever you want to. But we do have to talk a little baseball. I do still want to talk White Sox. So I'm really hoping that we'll get on the people that we're trying to get lined up right now. That Brooks Boyer will give us a call when I send him the invitation. It was good fun. We had fun sending him stuff. He had fun pretending that we didn't exist. But I think at this point it's time for Brooks to man up and jump on the show because people need that. And I suspect that he will. I really do. I think that at some point we're going to have him give us a call, and it'll be fun to kind of talk about like what's going on and what's his plan and what's going on there personally with him and how's he handling it and what's going on with the White Sox and promotions and what the team's doing. And I would just love to get just an inner look at what's going on because here's the thing. Nobody expects it to be perfect. None of this can be perfect because none of us have ever gone through this before in our lives. So there's going to be stumbles. There's going to be ideas that don't work out. Everybody's trying to just brainstorm to figure out what they're going to go do. And I completely get that. So I would love to be able to connect with all these people. And I think we're going to be able to do it. But I wanted to make sure we got on today and we just kind of let's just get it out of our system, man. I miss you. I want to give you a hug because I know how much you're going through right now. I really do. I know how much this business means to you. And I know how scary it is as a small business owner for this to happen because you're not like somebody who's going to sit at home and they're going to send you a check. You're not getting paid leave. If you don't have customers, you don't have a business, and they're still going to collect your mortgage at the end of the month. And you spent years and years getting this thing up and running, and I understand why it's so scary.
Yeah, I'm not going to hug you though. No offense. not until.
Wow, that's really mean. That's really, really mean. What if I put Saran wrap around me so that I couldn't pass a virus to you? Would you hug me then?
Oh, the full is it like the full body condoms like in Lethal Weapon? Or
yeah, if we had full body condoms, yeah, exactly, naked gun.
All right,
if I were able to get 2 full body condoms, would you give me a hug?
Sure, Chris.
All right, there we go. We're making connections during the pandemic. We're making connections.
Indeed.
Do you have enough booze over there?
No such thing.
You had no booze over there?
No, there's no such thing as enough or too much.
I told my dad the other day that there were places that delivered. He was like, really? And I'm like, yeah, you can get your food delivered too. He's like, really? I'm not leaving the house. And I'm like, all right. I had to walk him through the whole thing. Maybe we'll have Dad call in the show too. And we'll have a weekly thing where we just teach Dad how to do things mobily because he can't do it anymore the way he used to. We'll teach an old dog new tricks is what we'll do.
Sox in the basement. Sox in the basement. Sox in the basement.
Sox in the Basement. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found, and always on soxinthebasement.com.
Sox in the Basement, like I said, back up this Saturday, 7 p.m. live. Make sure that you are there. Make your plans on the Podbean app. You can go to soxinthebasement.com on any kind of device that does apps, and you should be prompted right then and there to get the app. You'll also see it in the drop-down bar on your mobile phone or right there on your desktop to get the app. Get the app, sign up. It's free. Get notifications when we're live. Participate. There's a live chat room if you don't like talking, so we can read what you're saying. And there will also be a live call-in room where we can put guests and callers together. So you can talk to our guests, talk to us, and I can put up to 4 people up on the line at the exact same time. This thing's really cool. We're going to be experimenting with it. It can only get better from here. Sox in the Basement. We'll see you on Saturday night, live and in person. Sox in the Basement is found everywhere podcasts can be found, and always at soxinthebasement.com.